Look me up on Google, search the classics, you crazy bass. Pull me up and pull me down. It's a battle royale in the eye of the storm. Drowning in the shallows when the path is getting narrow. I'ma ride it out on this broken arrow. Fuck it. Pull me up.
Welcome to Unfiltered Idiots, where we chat shit about real shit,
talk shit about those not giving a shit,
wondering and complaining why they ain't got shit. Here we are, ladies and gents, season 2, episode 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
He's been doing that all day.
Always, you gotta have some sort of, intro to it. You know, it is
episode 5.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Unfiltered Idiots podcast. We first and foremost always want to introduce ourselves, let you know who we are. Kenny, take it away.
What's up, guys? My name is Kenny Newell, born and raised in Southeast Aurora. Currently work in the property management field, have a couple of kids, and I am enjoying life right now.
A-Town?
A-Town, yeah.
What's up, everyone? My name is Wes, a.k.a. Metro. Also, 2 kids, born in Aurora as well. Yep, A-Town in the hizzy. We've been in this mug for our whole life. Out here doing things. Doing the damn thing. In the hizzy. Anyway, yeah, so, ladies and gents, as always, please make sure you like and subscribe our content. Please let us know if there's any things you guys would like us to talk about.
So I wanted to take a quick moment. There's a lot of you watching our videos that aren't subscribed to the channel.
Come on, man.
So it takes about 2 seconds. Hit that bell. The thumbs up.
Hit the bell.
I see you guys. I look at the analytics, okay?
Yeah. We're going to start coming for you.
Yeah,
just kidding. Exactly. No, but seriously, man, guys, if you want to see content that's not controlled by the billionaires, the 100 millionaires, that literally is trying to get you, what we believe is the best type of truth out there. Like, we're trying to research content. We're trying to research what we're looking for. This is not something that, the top execs at Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, OAN, Newsmax, you gotta understand these, like we tell you guys every week, these people are friends, man.
Well, more importantly,
they are homies. They're hanging out together.
More importantly, we're putting our heart and soul, our time, our effort into getting the correct information out to you. And it's a lot of work. It's we have a full-on production for this podcast now. On the editing side, the editing that takes a long time. And just all of this is a lot of effort, and not to say that we don't like doing this.
We love it. Yeah.
Hit us up. Hit the subscribe button.
Share with your friends. We're trying to get this thing popping. We need as much, as many people. We've always asked if anybody wants to be a guest, let us know. We need as many people out there spreading, truth and solutions as well. Like, how do we solve these problems? What are some ideas, spitballing on how to fix them? Because we can't just keep taking this status quo crap and go, oh, hopefully, this nonsense of hope. It's like, we'll use a sports reference because we both love sports. And as you guys know, we also have a sports edition.
Sports edition
podcast. But it's a sports analogy as well, too. Right? And you can take this in any realm you want, right? If you keep doing the same thing over and over, as we know, right? That's the definition of insanity, that whole cliche crap. But it's really true. If my favorite sports team or my kid or myself or my wife or Kenny or whatever, your kids, continue doing the same thing and are getting a result that they're not liking, right? Well, they got to change something.
Right.
So you guys got to change your viewing habits. You got to stop, just clicking on the TV, putting on that one station, watching it for hours on end and just absorbing nonsense from people who literally, they knowingly know that they're lying to you. They don't believe this garbage. We're going to talk about the COVID stuff today. I mean, again, for how many times, and they sit there and say, just like that guy that approached Tucker in Montana in that fishing store, literally telling him, you're killing people, you idiot. And he's like, my kid's here. He's like, I don't give a shit.
Right.
You're killing people by telling them not to take this virus or take the vaccine when you've taken it.
So there's exactly
early February you took it.
So I'm an avid Twitter fan, so I was going on Twitter just to see exactly what the comments were like for that video. And there were, it was a mixed bag. People leave Tucker alone. People, he was infringing on Tucker's space or whatever.
You should get arrested. I saw people say that.
Literally, this guy is saying everything that we are saying. It's just this guy goes on TV, a national audience in front of millions every single night, and just spreads disinformation and lies.
Yeah.
And it's to a point where he wasn't big and bad Tucker when that guy was there in his face, and it was just funny because it's literally his job to sell lies, and when he's confronted with the actual truth and outside of the Fox News station, he clammed up, right? Yeah. And he had that stupid ass smile on his face.
Like, oh, my daughter's here. What was that guy saying? That like it wasn't like he was trying to fist fight you.
No,
he was just
I said.
He was very direct. He said, "You're killing people.
You're killing
by
people.
telling people that things that's
you're
not
wrong.
true. You're lying.
Yeah.
And you know you're lying." And he goes, "And you got the vaccine. Why are you telling people, oh, do your own research?" No. Like, the research is out there. 98 to 99%. Well, whatever. I know the number is over 98%.
Right.
But let's go with 98%. Like, if I told you there's 98%, I use these analogies all the time for people to get their logic going. Because we do not use logic enough in this country, and even in the world. But, like, if I said, hey, there's a 98% chance that there's $1 million in my garage and a 2% chance that it's somewhere in my house, where are you going to go look, dummy? You're going to go in my garage.
Right.
So stop going to the cellar and going, I don't know, these 2% people up here said, dude, there's always going to be somebody, just like there's flat earthers. That's why I've been calling these people flat earthers. There's always going to be somebody who might have some credentials, who's going to say, oh, I want to go against the grain. Right. But when 98 virologists say one thing and 2 say, oh, I don't think that's what it is. Dude, 98% of the time, they're going to be correct.
Well,
I'd rather go with those people.
Here's the thing where I'm kind of at with the whole situation is like, the GOP, it's like pick a struggle, right? So Biden opened up the United States, and then now it's like, okay, now you don't want your kids to wear masks. Now you don't want, the vaccine and all of this other stuff. It's the same stuff that's being said over and over again, but it's just like anything that they do to kind of help the American people, the Republican Party has an issue with it. And I'm just like sitting here, Wes, and I'm just like, what do they want? Like,
they just want to have a culture war. Like, there's no policies. They don't ever seem to want to have, anything that goes anywhere. It's just, and there's people on the left.
Fight you at every.
And there's people on the left that want to do the same thing in certain circumstances, but for sure, the lion's share of the problem is the GOP. And it's like, and they're doing that because they know all their issues are not popular.
Right.
Abortion. Dude, this country, the gigantic majority of people in this country are for sure at least not, like, at least on the side of it should be somebody's choice. There might be, a percentage within there that are like, hey, listen, after this certain week, and I'm kind of one of those, like the 25th week. And I'm not saying it has to be, I'm just saying that's kind of in an area where I go, man, let's start like thinking about maybe, like we talked about, incentivizing these women instead of being like, oh, on the 23rd week, they're like, oh my God, I'm freaking out. I don't want to have a child. Hey, listen, I still think it's their choice. Well, but those are the type of issues that they want to fight because they know that there's really no winning to it, but there's a winning of like distracting everybody.
That's you brought up a great point in terms of the Democrats. I have a huge issue with one of the things, and it's actually affecting the business that I'm in right now. So the eviction
moratorium.
Yeah, exactly. That was, expired, right? Yeah. And now all of these people on the left are having an issue with that. But at the end of the day, I will be 100% transparent with you in saying that it's time for us to get our properties back to where they need to be. It's time for us to, and here's one thing too, okay? So the people that have not paid rent in 8 months, right? You would think that those people would be sitting in their apartments like church mouses, like not saying anything or doing anything. But from what I've seen, these people that have not paid rent in 8 months are the ones that are causing the problems or being destructive. Now, I won't sit here and say that that's everyone, right? Yeah. Because
what they should have done is like made the rents be where they're like 75% or something like that. And
Absolutely.
Kept them on it.
But
I agree with
they
that.
didn't. They didn't.
Yeah.
People have not paid rent in 8 months, and it's time to move on. Right, so if you haven't gotten to where you needed to be in the last 8 months, then it's time to move on. Because as you know, this is how I make my living, right? So it's a trickle down effect, and I apologize if I'm offending anyone right now by talking and saying this, but it's time for us to start running our businesses, and it is what it is.
well,
Trump style, right? But
we also have to make sure again, like, and this goes deep to that point of like, there should be a lot more regulation around what rents could be. There should be a lot more regulations about like, as much as I don't like it, this is where I always have this like battle in my own head, but we also are pricing people out of markets, and, and it's being done deliberately.
And I think that California and New York are the only two states that really have rent control in place. And as you've seen in Colorado, I mean, rents are out of control, and it's not fair to people, right? They go into getting those apartments and
especially
getting approved for those apartments without even being able to afford it. They're just happy that they got approved, right? And then they're going to think about and figure it out down the line.
And that's where we talk about these issues where, like, these things go so deep. Like, not having a percentage minimum wage, you know, like a percentage that we talk about. So when the markets blow up, it's like, okay.
I mean, and you've talked about that a million times,
and these things go so deep that, like, if people, and this is a very odd circumstance, obviously COVID, but, like, these things do go deep. They are way before COVID that we had these problems. I agree completely with the rent. I mean, because, you know, we have a house, but I'm saying, like, we've been paying our, you know, our house bill on time every month. Well, roughly on time, and a couple days late here or there, but whatever. Point is, like, I agree they should have done something where they said, hey, we're going to require you to at least pay 80%, something like that.
Sure.
Totally agree with that, because absolutely should. And a vast majority of people's jobs were never affected.
Right, here it is.
My wife and I'm a trainer and she's a bartender. Right. We were drastically affected and still were paying our bills.
Here's the thing, Wes. It all starts with leadership.
Yeah,
right.
100%.
It was from the federal government just gave no leadership in getting this corrected or even trying to help the people. Because
and remember, that was Trump. So, like, understand who was in charge at that time, guys. They were calling this a hoax. They said it was all made up. And the problem is it was not. They were wrong about that. Right. Drastically wrong. We're at 612,000 deaths. So you want to tell those 612,000 people that lost their life and their families. And so they sat on it and didn't do shit, and they just were like, oh, it'll just work itself out. Well, it doesn't work like that. Like you said, leadership.
Well, so, you know, in the last podcast, I kind of talked about the books that I was reading, Disloyal and The Room Where It Happened. So basically, those two books correlated it with itself in saying that Trump was so hyper-focused on the 2020 election that he really didn't care about COVID. You know, he claimed to say that he did care, but he really didn't care. He was just more worried about being in front of cameras, getting ratings, and being reelected. So, and
that's always most of these politicians. That's all they care about, and that's the problem. Is like it's always about self-preservation. And
but
it's like,
the saddest thing about that whole thing, Wes, and what I've read, it's like no one in his camp stepped forward and were like, "Hey, we need to take care of this pandemic that is killing, you know, so many people," because they were too afraid to get him angry. And I heard that so many times in these books. They were so concerned about getting him angry and losing their $175,000 salary.
And like you said, that's like self-preservation, right? So like birds of a feather flock together. We've all heard these analogies, guys, like, right? And these are said for a reason, because, you know, Kenny and I are birds of a feather that flock together. When you're out there trying to, like, do the right thing, you're trying to be a good parent and a good, you know, significant other, good friendships, good, you know, all those types of things. Sure. That's typically, like, the type of people that you're going to be around. Right. When you're lying scumbags, and that's who you want. You want people that are lying,
those people around you that are going to do those bids for you, and that are going to.
And they get in closed rooms and they talk about what they're like. Guys, what do you think we can get away with? And like that's where you guys should all be like really like sensitive to, but also like very like irritated with. Because Kenny and I don't get in a room and go, dude, what do you think we can get away with, bro? What do you think? Like, how can we scam people? Right. Dude, I know how to scam people. I can scam people all damn day long. You don't have to be smart to scam artists, at all.
And the scariest part is they were scamming and scheming at the highest top of the government, just the highest levels of the government. You know, it's scary. And again, I recommend that anybody take a look at Disloyal or The Room Where It Happened, because it's going to give you the truth. These are people that were actually in the room with him. Scary stuff, man.
It's crazy, and like I said, I just think that, you know, and I've said this before, right? Like, you don't have to be the most intelligent person in the room to be, a scam artist. You just have to be more intelligent than the people you're scamming, or have more knowledge about what it is you're scamming. So I always use like chains, for example. Like, if you have a gold chain, if you don't know anything about, metals, and I go, oh, this is this 24 karat. Oh my God, these go for like 5,000, and I sell it to you for like $1,000, and you think you got some great deal on it, and find out later it's garbage. It's worth maybe $75.
I'll give this man Trump credit, right?
Yeah,
so he was the CEO of scammers, right?
Yeah.
So all he had to do was get people in the room that he understood that could go do his bidding for him. It's not like he had his, it's not like he was scamming and scheming on his own, right? He wasn't in there pushing the buttons to do it. He brought those people, like you said, together that he knew that were just as shady that he was, and that's what they did. They moved forward in whatever that they were going to do, try to cover their bases here and there, and especially when you have the Attorney General on your side and kind of navigating those gray areas for you.
Oh, yeah.
you can do whatever you want.
Confines within the law, and and this is what people like that are always constantly doing. Like, it's one thing to be like, ooh, let's see, the speed limit's 40. I'm gonna see if I can get away with 46, right? Like, it's another thing to go, oh, let's see. So just like he did with his first wife, like Ivana Trump, excuse me. Ivanka and Jared Ivanka and Don and freaking Eric's mom.
Yeah.
Like, he drug her across the room, raped her, beat her up, drug her across the room, and raped her. And like, his defense, because at the time the law stated you cannot rape your own spouse. There's actually still some states that still have that in the books, and I think Colorado still has like a gray area there too.
Yeah,
it's like you can't be accused of like raping your own spouse, which is just like insane to me. But that's the way that he, in his defense, this is on the Department of Justice, the DOJ docs. You can look at it for yourself. It literally was stated that like his defense was that you cannot rape your own spouse.
I think that the whole thing about this whole situation with Trump is he has been able to get away with everything. Like, there's because he finds these loopholes. And again, with COVID, COVID was unprecedented in our lifetime, right? So there was no real policies for things. So they were finding loopholes within all of this other stuff because there was no precedence for it. And they were just doing whatever they had to do. And
now you got like people, but to piggyback to like the COVID stuff, right? You got people like the Alabama governor who came out and was like, blaming the unvaccinated people for the problem they're having. And when a reporter asked her, well, how do we get people vaccinated? She literally, I believe, I'm trying to quote what she said, but I'm pretty sure she goes, well, I don't know. If you know, why don't you tell me? And it was like, bitch, you're the governor. And the reality was, because you were lying for a year and a half about how it wasn't a big deal, and now you're killing off your own voting block.
Exactly. So now it's to the point where so many of their constituents are dying. It's like now they have to change their tune.
They're like, oh shit, our own voting block, we're killing off our own people.
Like, what are we gonna do? Like, all of our people are dying. But I think it's interesting that you brought that video up because I just watched that before you got here. So essentially, a reporter was asking him what we should do, as Arkansas, or I don't know how you say, whatever you say, but
I think she's Alabama.
Yeah, Alabama, yeah.
Exactly. So maybe it's Alabama.
But he essentially did not know what to tell these people because they have done zero research on it because that is what Trump Daddy has told them to do. Yeah. And it's ridiculous. So there's we'll
play you guys a video real quick. It's like probably about maybe like a 30-second clip, but we'll play that for you guys right now. So you guys see that video. Like I said, it's like she looks like she's puzzled. This was like I think it was like a week and a half. Like,
sure,
she looks like she was puzzled, as if like what do you mean? How are we supposed to get people vaccinated? Well, I don't know. You tell them the truth.
Yeah.
And if you look at like what's going on through most of the whole South is
it's the South, and it's
crazy, man. Massive problem.
I'm really okay here. I'm probably going to get myself into trouble on this podcast today because I'm just being unfiltered. But here's the thing, okay? My point of view at this point in time is if you don't get vaccinated, so be it. If you don't wear your mask, so be it.
Yeah.
This new Delta variant is no joke, guys.
Yeah.
It is up 200% in.
My son's on his 12th day. He's 17.
And yes,
his mom got
shout out
too.
to Little Metro, man.
Yeah.
Shout out to Little Metro.
My
I
son
hope you're
Braden,
feeling better.
he's been on his 12th day. His mom's on like her 10th day, but she didn't get vaccinated.
Exactly. So it's to the point where we are going to have to do something drastic again to get this under control because we have all these patriots everywhere, and it's sad, man. It's really, really sad.
Well, they
really,
think they think that it's like tyranny that we're like asking. We're like, hey guys, we need to put.
It's not even that.
I know, but it's like
it's not even that.
They'll believe anything that like if they're told to run with something, they will. And
they saw it on a YouTube channel.
Yeah, like I said, but like Fox is doing it too. OAN, Newsmax, like they're telling them to do your own research, but like what they do right before that is they run this whole little like 5-minute segment on like basically anti-vaxxing and how, and then they at the very tail end of it they go, so they can CYA, right? They go, oh guys, do your own research. Bitch, you just did the research for them. They're not going to go do it. You just alluded. It's like somebody going like, hey, I really like you, but I don't know if I want to get married to you. But if you were to ask me, you know what I mean? It's like they're walking them down the aisle on purpose, and then when they jump into the trap, then they go, wait, listen, we told them to do their own research. But they know the power that they have. Right. They know that.
So here's the thing.
And it's terrible.
Here's the thing. So if you don't want to be vaccinated, don't get vaccinated. If you don't want to wear your mask, don't wear your mask. But I'm telling you right now, it's real out there in the streets.
Yeah.
Okay. So it is what it is. I'm sorry. I know I've said that a couple of times on this podcast. It is what it is. I am so sick of hearing about your patriotism and all this other stuff. And that kind of leads me into our next subject in terms of mental health.
Yeah.
And the struggle that I had with not only, I think, the whole COVID situation, but working from home was new to me. Not seeing, my friends as much as I used to have seen them. And I was talking to Wes about this as well, is I didn't really realize that I was kind of in this dark frame of mind. So I did a couple of episodes of updates on Unfiltered Idiots. And I got in front of the cameras and I like kind of froze and like I was having a full-on panic attack.
Yeah.
It was weird. It was something that I'd never experienced before. And I really realized that I wasn't focusing on my mental health. So I think that it's very important that we get the message out there. You may not actually feel it until it's there, right? So if you're kind of feeling down or if you're kind of feeling some type of way, I know that you've dealt with mental health in your family a ton. If you want to speak on that experience a little bit.
I mean, I have myself. I mean, I lost my sister too. I mean, mental health is what caused her to have, the drug problems and stuff that she went through. But she eventually took her life, on May 31st of 2010. And, I've seen like my own self, like where I've had some issues but a lot of that is because, right, like we're walking around on like level 8, right? And level 9 is like it's like one little thing sets us off, a flat tire, right? But if we can give ourselves where we're focused on, day to day where we go, hey man, like I need to be able to like let certain things go and like relax about things and like focus on my diet, my any of that, like exercise, all that type of stuff. That helps so much with like people's mental states. But like if you're walking around at an 8, like I said, your kid falls and skins their knee or something, and it's like it goes from there to there real quick, and the next thing you know, just like it starts to become this whole like explosion of just like nothing goes right, and you start to freak out. And the reality is like most things aren't going right. It's just that's kind of your perception.
Exactly.
But if your perception, if prior to that you were at like a level 4, then that means it brings you to a 5, and you're just kind of like, you scanned your knee, dude. Let's get you some Band-Aids. You're good, bro. Like
so. And I think that you touched on some very great points. So exercise, healthy diet. A lot of my depression that I know that I can identify is actually doing this podcast and the research that we were doing during the time, and actually watching CNN and Fox News on a daily basis. Like it was on in my house 24/7. That's gone from the house altogether. Obviously I'll do I'll look here and there, but it's not CNN and Fox News just blaring from every single TV in the
house.
I
deliberately record it. So I record it. So I tell people all the time on DirecTV, and I don't know if Comcast has it. I had Comcast forever. I used to work for Comcast, but I don't remember if they have it. But DirecTV's got a cool couple of channels. One's like a sports mix one, which I love to watch. The other one's a news mix one. And it has, four screens, four different. And so I'll just record it, like at 6 o'clock, and the nice thing from 6 to 7. And the nice thing is I could literally go in there and watch the first 10 minutes of that one, rewind it, click over, watch the first 10 minutes of that one. And it's like quick to just kind of go, okay, cool. Here's what they're all trying to talk about. And then it's like I could just turn it off. And then from there, it's like I could do my research.
Absolutely.
And really try to figure out where they're trying to go.
Yeah, I mean, so.
But yeah, if it's on all the time.
If it's on all the time, definitely. Yeah. I do not recommend that.
Because I can just sit there and go, that's a lie. That's a lie. It just
makes
you be like.
It drives you crazy. Yeah. It did. It was literally driving me crazy. I was like a robot. And I didn't really realize that I was even doing that. But if anybody is struggling with mental health issues, we have a number for the suicide prevention hotline. It's 1-800-273-8255. Once again, that's 1-800-273-8255. And if you have any questions for us, reach out to us. We can try to help you in any way possible in that realm.
Yeah, and we both have dealt with it, and that's not to kind of keep harping on these extreme wealthy and these a lot of these people grew up with having very little struggles in their life. And by all means, I saw Meghan McCain go on her little rant about this the other day, where she acts like, she goes, people don't understand that those of us who grew up in the spotlight, I get that they have some other gripes and complaints. I'm not saying that it was all unicorns and rainbows, but she acts as though she got this job through meritocracy. She got the job because her daddy,
how many times did she,
right?
Because I watched that on TYT. How many times does she name drop her dad?
Yes.
In the time that she's been on the show.
And so, when we talk about mental health, guys, when we're talking about people's day-to-day struggles, you know what I mean? We understand. We both grew up, I didn't grow up with anything. You know what I mean? We've had to work for everything we've gotten. The littlest of things can set people. Dude, a flat tire. If someone gets a flat tire and they go,
that
oh my
could
God.
be it, man.
I mean, that's just they're like, oh, it's your front tire was bad and it went in the sidewall. The tire can't get fixed.
You need a new tire.
And if it's all-wheel drive, it's they're like, oh, you need all 4 new. So there's
and
you
are so correct about that. If you're not managing your mental health, a little thing like that, that's not that big of a deal in the whole world realm, but something like that can set you off to no end. And trust me, I know. I just got in front of cameras and it set me off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So please, guys, I beg of you, if we can do anything for you, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. We know that we're traveling down roads we've never traveled down before right now.
Yeah,
right?
Especially right now.
You know what I mean? So
it's been a crazy last few years.
And with COVID coming back with a vengeance, I think that we're going to start seeing some new guidelines that aren't going to be
what people want
to see.
But when your dumbass family member wants to talk about the science that they have no science. Sorry, I hate to tell you this, and we're about to put these up for you guys so you can see the heat maps. We'll show those to you guys here in a second too. But when your family member, when your friend, when somebody's talking about the science side of it, you got to shut that down and tell them, please show me your proof of this science.
They can't do it,
and they can't
because the thing is, though, is Fox News is saying, show me the science. Here's the science.
Yeah, they all got
but nobody does this. Nobody goes and actually looks at the science. They've been programmed to hear, let me see the science or show me the science. But Fox News isn't putting science up there. Yeah. So the viewers hear this one thing and they run with it, right?
Yeah.
And so now we are in a place where we're about to be locked down again. We're about to be whatever again. And it's all because these people are patriots and really can't get their stuff together.
So they think, quote, unquote, patriots.
It's not
so those listening to the audio, that was a quote, unquote, because they're calling them tourists. That moron that was calling them, that said that, if you were to see the videos of January 1st, or January 6th, it would just look like a normal tourist. They literally said tourist. Okay, dude. And you're just this is absurd.
Fuck you to that guy.
Yeah. I mean, it's just I'm
dead serious about that.
Yeah, it's just
we could go down a rabbit hole on that.
Yeah, because it's you're dude, this is not cool to be playing these little games. Again, like, same with the COVID stuff. Like, these are people's lives. And it just shows you that they don't care, guys. When we talk about like a flat tire, and then you know what they'll say to you? If you're that working class person, oh, well, you and your kids can take the bus the next day. Quit being a lazy piece of shit. The fucking piece of garbage who has fucking handed everything to them. Never had to worry about $1 in their life. Like, anytime they had a problem, mommy, my car's broke. Oh, let me fix your $80,000 car when you're 16. Let me fix your $1.2 million. Like, they never had to worry about none of that.
Right.
And then they have the audacity to tell you, hey, oh my God, you got a flat tire, and the vehicle that you need to get your kids to daycare in, you to work in on time, they tell you, oh, well, you can go take the bus. Okay, so cool. So I just burn through more money to go take the bus versus like actually requiring them to like pay people properly so that way, again, we're not talking about people having everyone having millions. We're talking about making sure that people are paid properly so there's a couple $1,000s, in their savings account.
Fund,
so when it's like, hey, guess what?
So everybody
Oh my
should
God,
have
you had a
at
flat
least
tire?
a couple
No
grand
big deal.
in their savings account.
Yeah.
Because stuff happens, right?
Yeah.
Stuff happens every single day.
And there's an onus on you being able to try to watch your money, but our wages are a joke.
Right. It's
our minimum,
a joke. It's all a joke.
Like,
and
average house $600,000, or average income is $69,000.
Sure.
Do the math on that,
right.
Dummies. Like, do the math on it.
It's so it's
not
so
even close.
Disrespectful.
Yeah.
For a person like Wes said.
You make $12 an hour.
To
figure out
figure it out, right? And again, all right, some people are probably sitting here saying, well, Kenny said, you just said that you don't care if the eviction thing lapses, right? So I get it on the other side too, because like this is how I feed my family, and then on the other side, it's like we need to fix all this other stuff.
Yeah.
But apartment community owners shouldn't have to suffer through another year of lack of planning and lack of leadership from the very beginning. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and that's why I was kind of also adding to that is explaining that it does go deeper, and that's why if we did say, hey, listen, we'll talk about this, a little bit more in depth as well too, but maybe on another show. But if we look at like putting the target on the people's back who really deserve it, it's not the workers. And that's the thing is like these extreme wealthy and elites that like Meghan McCain's and like even the Clintons, I mean, you name it, like they grew up with so much more than 99% of this country. And then again, they have that audacity to like throw stones in a house they've never had to live in. They don't know what that's like. And they go, oh, you should be able to figure out how to make do with $12 an hour. It's like, that's crazy. That's absolutely insane.
See them. You know what? They should do a study where some of the elites try to live off of $12 an hour.
There's actually a thing that they're going to try to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. There is a thing about that. And I was like, but you got to understand they have their money in their bank accounts.
Well,
so it's not like,
here's the thing, though.
They don't care. They can just tap into that.
Here's the thing, sometimes I sit here and it's difficult for me because I make a decent living, right? I make pretty decent wages. But it's not that I'm not thinking about the person that's making $12 an hour, because if it was that way, I wouldn't sit here talking to you about it. I want the people that are making minimum wage. And let me just give you a little example. We go to McDonald's, a couple times a week. It's football season, right? So after practice, we actually go to a McDonald's that's way farther than the one that's by our house. Because everyone knows McDonald's are owned individually. Yeah, they're all franchise. So the one that's up on Quincy, they pay a little bit more and they're a lot happier. Yeah. So the one that's on Hamden over here, they got such attitudes and they're just so rude. There was one time that I think she took my order and she's like, "Is that it? Is that it?" I just drove off. Yeah. I was like, I'm not going to give this McDonald's. Thing is, like
you said, it's because they're not being played.
Right. But the same company, the same organization that's paying more right up the street, these people are so nice. And I go out of my way to go to that.
And that could have other factors like management. But yeah.
Sure, absolutely.
A lot of it has to do with like people's pay. Yeah. And again, like I said, if we had a percentage-based minimum wage, $12 an hour in Moore, Oklahoma might be like 25 here. And if we had an
but
age
$12 an hour in Denver, Colorado,
is
like
garbage.
I remember my first job.
And if you had an age base too, I do by age. Because if it's like a 15-year-old or 16-year-old or whatever, I'm told, but I think they should, every year they get older, that percentage should go up to where it's feasible.
You know,
by the time
when I was 18, I was a doing car dealership stuff or whatever you call that, and I was making $12 an hour, and that was good back then, right? That was good for a little 18-year-old, but for people that haven't progressed in their career in Denver, Colorado, that are still making those wages at $12 an hour, like I don't even know how you make that work. Like, how do you make that work? Because when I was 18 years old, I had an apartment that was $710 a month. That same apartment today, I looked, is $1,700 a month. I don't know what the percentage and the increase is on that. Shout out to that management company for getting those rents up, but that's ridiculous. It's the same unit, right? Same unit.
And that goes, and that's
less than 20 years.
Yeah, and what that is like what you're saying, like how this is, happening. Like I said, it's that they see that they can squeeze, every drop of juice out of that, and unfortunately, whether it's your industry, whether it's whatever it might be, like this is why regulation in a sense has to be there.
That goes back to what you said as well.
And they turned to crime.
We should as a management or management company just require that a percentage of that money is paid back, because they're in so much of a hole. Like, you don't have $10 to your name. How are you going to come up with $8,000 over a 9-month or 6-month period? Yeah. You know what I mean? So, like, if they had the ability to pay that percentage and still ensure that they're staying current, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. So.
Well, and to kind of switch gears, guys, to like, in a sense, that it's connected, but a lot of times people will turn to criminal behavior, right? And then on top of that, we have, police that like tend to, because they might be in a higher crime area, they tend to just automatically assume things, and they're going off of like their little, their gut feelings. And unfortunately, as a police officer, in our own city here, where this is now the 5th or 6th pretty national, attention that the Aurora Police Department has gotten now. 2 cops were just arrested for pistol whipping a dude who was sitting down. Yes, 2 other guys took off and ran. He didn't even know what the heck was going on. He was sitting down, completely sitting down, backpack to like the left of him, like, clearly had no weapon on him. They came running up on him, smacked him in the head, knocked him down, had a gun to the back of his head.
Gun
he's
to the back
crying.
of his head.
He's begging for, he's like, what is going on? I don't have any more. Like, what's going on? Please, what? And the cop said, like, what the cop said to him, but obviously when you're being shoved and choked around and rustled in a bunch of mulch, the cop was telling him, you have a gun to the back of your head. You can hear this kid multiple times, this young man, multiple times say, I do not have a gun. Please don't kill me. I do not have a weapon. Yeah. He's hearing you have a gun. He didn't hear it pointed to your head. So he's hearing this. And meanwhile, this cop pistol whips him, busts his head open, gets him stitches. And the other cops are doing nothing. And thankfully, they both were arrested.
So let's talk about the officer that did that has an arrest record already. Yeah. And let's talk about the fact that the new police chief, I can't remember her name, it'll pop up right now. Yeah. She went on and said that this isn't the Aurora Police Department and how they operate anymore. However,
yeah, she said it was an anomaly.
It's an anomaly. Yeah. Shout out to her. She's tried to do whatever she can, to
but it's definitely not an anomaly.
These people in
They've already killed one young man.
If you Google the Aurora Police Department, this is what they did, right? Yeah. This is what they've always done.
Vanessa Wilson.
Vanessa Wilson is the police chief. No, thank you. I love that. I believe that.
Yeah.
So basically, this is the Aurora Police Department. This is what they've been known for. And I kind of want to switch gears a little bit to this. Everyone that pretty much knows me knows that my cousin was shot and killed downtown a couple of weeks ago, and there were some comments on Twitter just regarding, defund the police and this and that, which really pissed me off, because those police officers, the Denver PD, as bad as legacy that they have, were very supportive to my family. We actually figured out what happened that night. Unfortunately, Dontre was downtown. There was a fight that went on, and he was running away as gunshots were being, shot. And there was actually a guy on a motorcycle that feared for his life, and just so happened to start shooting because he had a, open carry or a concealed weapon, and he just started shooting and unfortunately hit my cousin. So it wasn't any of the people that were actually shooting at Dontre that shot him. It was the guy, the bystander that was afraid for his life. So I want to make sure that I get that narrative straight. This guy that, unfortunately shot my cousin, we have no ill will towards him. If that was me down there and there were gunshots going on, I'd be pulling out my gat too. So I just wanted to make sure that I cleared up that narrative. Because
and the sad part is that that's where we, as a society, in a sense, this is where this...
It's like defund the police. What are you talking about?
Well,
where did that even come from?
Well, I think what it is that people want if the police aren't going to do, better jobs about things, right? Is they want more social workers employed. They want higher pay for those people. They should be going out with the cop, you know what I mean? And they should be trained and all that. Because a lot of times these are mental health, but also it has to do with, with the cops having some skin in the game. Yeah. And if they start getting in trouble for some of this stuff, right? And one of the cops that was arrested with the young man, she was somebody who just didn't report correctly either. So she basically tried to just act like everything was on the up and up. And that was not what the video shows.
You know what's so funny?
That's why we let body cameras.
They don't even care that they have the body cameras on it.
Well, because it becomes part, I think it becomes part of their uniform, and they're just so this is the way they've operated some of them
it's
for
just crazy
so
to
long.
Me. It's just crazy to me.
There's that one in Baltimore. We've talked about this before. I don't want to tangent, but literally this, one cop talking to this suspect right here, and his body camera's on, and the other cop that's in the background tried to say his body camera's malfunctioned. You see him on video turn it off and mess with it, and then he takes some drugs out of his pocket, puts it in a soda can, and then he turns around and goes, "Hey, I found this some soda." I mean, it was ridiculous.
And it was all on camera.
All on camera. And I was like, bro. And this is what's showing people that this has been the complaint specifically. It's happening to everybody, but on a higher rate, it's happening to people with black skin, black and brown skin. But it's happened. I mean, I've had cops do the shady things. I was in jail for 22 hours on something, got completely dismissed. It was just absolutely insane off a traffic ticket. It was just, I was no warrant, nothing like that. I got pulled over. It's the craziest thing. But and it was this rookie cop that just effed up. And the DA admitted it. She goes, he should have never taken you to for a couple of traffic violations for speeding and not having my license on me. Literally was in Arapahoe County for 22 hours, all completely dismissed.
Wow. But
I lost about $1,000. It's $300 to get booked. They towed my car. That was $300 some. I had to get a new license. They canceled that. It was $120. And then I lost all my wages for that day. I was gone. Yeah. Missed 2 days of work.
Yeah. Before we wrap this up, I just want to make sure that everyone understands that if you see something going on out there, make sure that you start filming. Yeah. Stick with that person, because as Wes said,
this is what we're seeing.
The body camera footage, the body cameras, they forget that they are there for some reason. I don't know. Yeah. But
they hate that we have all these in our hands, guys. They hate it because it's exposing. And this is what we talked about before. We turn on the lights. We continue to have this mindset oh, well, if we just turn the lights off, then that means it's not happening. No, that's not how this fucking works, man. This is not how things get fixed in this country, is by turning off the lights. Turn on the damn lights, open up your goddamn eyes, stop acting like you don't see some shit that you fucking clearly see, you know what I mean? And pay fucking attention and realize you have rights. When the fucking thing that drives me through the roof is when people go, well, why didn't he comply? Just roll. I don't fucking have to sit and roll the fuck over for a cop. You don't have any fucking right to ask me to do that. Right. I don't give a fuck. If you suspect me from a crime, you have to tell me what the crime is. He was sitting down. Not getting ready to run. He was sitting down. Relax sitting down. I don't have to get fucking roll over and shut the... No, I don't. I have fucking rights, homie. Right. Everybody has rights. So you have to tell me why. First and foremost, if I'm sitting down, you have to come up, talk to me, say, hey, we're suspecting of this crime. You got to go through all these processes. You got to read me my rights. Like, you can't. The kid was like, "What am I being?" Had no idea what was going on, and they just said they suspected him of this crime that happened a few days,
Right.
and he's not even one of the people that did it.
Right.
And so, like, they're going off their assumptions. So again, get these out, record people, put them on blast, spread them all out, and I don't care if this prick loses his job. I hope he does,
It is what it is.
and I hope he doesn't get another job. Period.
He will lose his job.
Yeah.
Anyways, follow us on Twitter at UFIdiots, on Instagram at
Yes.
unfiltered_idiots IG. You can email me at knewell@unfilteredidiots.com and Metro at
Unfiltered idiots. Yes.
unfilteredidiots.com. Also, don't forget to go on our Instagram
Like,
page.
subscribe.
We need our merch to be sold, guys.
Yes.
So go on there. Link is in our bio. You can get all kinds of cool stuff. Don't forget to follow us on Anchor as well. Facebook and YouTube at Unfiltered Idiots Podcast. Thank you guys so much.
Yes.
Great conversation. Oh, and the latest episodes on YouTube are out.
Yeah.
Our sports edition will be dropping here shortly. Thank you again, guys, so much. Have a great night.
Metro Kitty, we out.
Look me up on Google, search the classics, you crazy bass. Pull me up and pull me down. It's a battle royale in the eye of the storm. Drowning in the shallows when the path is getting narrow. I'ma ride it out on this broken arrow. Fuck it. Pull me up.